Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and welcome back to another Power Ranker video. We are coming off of week 7 where there were surprise upsets, surprise blowouts, and just surprises in general. And the landscape of the NFL pretty much has changed after week 7's contest. So let's get our Power Rankings heading into week 8. Let's make this short and sweet. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Alright, these are our power rankings for last week. You guys see it, make a screenshot if you want to follow along. But these are the rankings that I had heading into week 7s. Now it's time to get my rankings heading into week 8. So I've been starting off every week. We're going to go into the teams that had a bye. So we had Carolina, we had them at a D. We had Cincinnati had a bad week. We're going to keep them at an A. We had the Dallas Cowboys had a bad week. We're also going to keep them at an A. We had the Houston Texans. They were at a B. We're going to keep them there. The New York Jets, they were also at a B. We're going to keep them there. And we had the Tennessee Titans at a C level. We're going to keep them there. These were the teams that had bye weeks. Like I always say, if you can't play football, can't move. So this is what we're going to have. Next, and first up in the rankings, we'll have the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to put the Arizona Cardinals, we're going to keep them at a D. Despite them playing a really tough football game against the Seattle Seahawks, it's just this team is still so young. They just don't know how to win football games just yet. But I love how they play. They play extremely hard. And Josh Dobbs is looking real solid for them despite the fact that they haven't been able to secure a lot of wins. I like how this team is starting to grow themselves despite them not winning football games. Next, we're going to have the Atlanta Falcons. I had them at a C. I'm going to move them up to a B, coming off of a very big win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they did a lot of this without Bijan Robinson, who mysteriously did not really play much in this ball game. And defensively, I like what this Falcons team is doing. Offensively, Desmond Ridder had a much better performance in this game than he has the last couple of games for the Falcons. So I'm going to keep them at a B. I'm going to move them up to a B. I had them at a C last. We're going to move them up to a B. The Baltimore Ravens have a dominant win over the Detroit Lions. I mean, they dominated the Detroit Lions in every phase of the football, and that is why I'm going to move them up to an S tier. Lamar Jackson and this offense looks like it's starting to finally get themselves in the passing game together. That defense led by Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith have been really, really getting after people, and it made the Detroit Lions look like the old Detroit Lions versus what we've been seeing from the Lions this season. So that's why I'm going to have the Baltimore Ravens move up to an S tier. The Buffalo Bills, that was my Super Bowl pick, but I am very disappointed in them. I'm going to drop them down to an A. This is probably the first time I had the Bills below an S for a very long time. It's just, this football team is just so inconsistent. One week they look like world beaters, and the next week you get beat by the Patriots, who haven't been looking good much of all season. What is up with this Buffalo Bills team? At this point, I don't know. It's just something, either Josh Allen, something with this defense. They do have a lot of injuries, but they just look extremely inconsistent. Too many highs and too many lows. Next is my Chicago Bears. Off of a big upset win over the Raiders, which I anticipated them not even moving the football and winning this ball game. And their defense has been playing really good football the last 3 weeks. Jalen Johnson, 2 interceptions, pick 6. Tremaine Edmunds, picks the last couple of weeks. They've been playing some really good football. Even though they haven't been getting after the quarterback like I want or expect them to, they've been playing some really, really stout defense. And offensively, Tyson Badgett was a game manager to its core against the Raiders, and Deontay Foreman and a guy like him really read the football well, and Darrington Evans as well. I was stumbling upon that name, but he ran the football really well for the Bears, and I'm moving them up to a C after that performance against the Raiders, who I thought were going to beat them. Next is the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to keep the Browns at an A. I mean, their defense, it may be a little bit of holes, but Myles Garrett, woof, special. Absolutely special Defensive Player of the Year candidate written all over him. This Browns team, if they can get consistent quarterback play, they'll have something. If Deshaun Watson can get healthy, I think they'll have something. Next is the Denver Broncos. Coming off of a win against the Packers, I'm going to keep the Broncos at a D. I still don't think this is a very good football team offensively. They still don't perform very well. Defensively, they got helped by Jordan Love looking kind of pedestrian. So I still don't believe in this Broncos team anymore. I think it's time to scrap it. And it just really is. Next is the Detroit Lions, coming off of that beat down by the hands of the Ravens. I'm going to drop them to an A. I still believe in this football team. I still believe they are a very good football team. It's just, I think they're still young. They're still learning how to be that top echelon team, but I still believe in the Lions. I really do. I still believe that this is a very good football team. It's just after that type of performance, it's time to go back to the drawing board and get things together. I think the Lions will be just fine. Next, we're going to have the Green Bay Packers. I had them at a B. I want to drop them to a C. Jordan Love, he has not been performing well the past couple of games. And defense has been in and out. It's just offensively, they just can't establish any rhythm over the last couple of weeks. And that's why they dropped that game to the Denver Broncos. Defensively, they've been playing okay football. It's just they still haven't gotten that rhythm offensively. And it's just not looking good for the Packers right now. And honestly, I love it. So I will not be biased. I'll be biased. I love it. Next is the Indianapolis Colts. I had them in a C. I'm going to keep them there. They were a bad call away from pulling off that game against the Cleveland Browns. Now, we're looking at the point of this Colts team being without Anthony Richardson. They were still able to put up points against the Browns defense, who was one of the top defenses that we have in the NFL with Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position. So this Indianapolis Colts team, I'm going to have them at a C. Next is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had them at an A. I'm going to keep this Jacksonville Jaguars football team at A. I really like the fact that they are getting Travis Etienne the ball. They are getting them the football. And I really like the fact of what this team is doing on the defensive side of the ball with Josh Allen. I really like this Jacksonville Jaguars football team going forward. And even though they had the game and the Saints kind of came back a little bit, but they pulled away Christian Kirk, who I have on my fantasy team. It's been a really good weapon for them as well as Calvin Ridley. So I'm going to put the Jaguars and keep them at an A. Next is the Chiefs. I mean, what can I say? The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Can I say more? Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey looks like they haven't missed a beat. Defensively, they're looking like one of the top formidable defenses that we have in the NFL. I think this might be the best team in football as we speak right now. So I'm going to put them in the A. Next is the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm leaving them at a C. I don't think they're at D level just yet. But they're a game away from getting there. This team, I don't know they're in trouble. This Chargers team is in trouble. It just looks like they haven't been able to put it all together. They have one good defensive game, an offensive game. It just hasn't been all together for the Chargers team. And I am one that's been disappointed in what they've been doing because I really had higher expectations of it when they just have not been performing. In the Chiefs game, they made too many mistakes. So I'm going to put them at a C. Next is the LA Rams. I had them at a B. After the game against the Steelers, I'm going to keep them at a B. The weapons with Kukua and Cup, and they've been running the football very solidly. So I like what this Rams team is doing. It's just, I think they were another bad call on the fourth down with Pickett away from winning their ball game. Yeah, the refs suck. But I'm still going to have them at the B. I'm really liking what this Rams team is starting to become, and they're starting to finally find some rhythm on both sides of the football, so I'm going to put them in a B. Next is the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, I want to put them at a D. You know what? Yeah. Based off that performance against the Bears, where they just look like nothing. I thought with Hoyer, they would still have some type of offensive success. Didn't do so. Still couldn't run the football. Still haven't been performing well on the defensive side of the ball against the run. This Raiders team is just so wishy-washy, and I've always said, despite the things Derek Carr, I think rid of him was pretty much a mistake. And I think the hiring of Josh McDaniels, mistake as well. I'm not going to be surprised if Devontae Adams asks for a trade. That's just me, but this team is just not very good. Next is the Miami Dolphins. I'm dropping them to an A, mainly because when they faced good, competitive, physical football teams, they just have not looked the part. Dolphins is just, they're head scratchers sometimes. Even though I still think they're a good football team, they have moments where you just leave them scratching their heads. They have a lot of injuries. You have Waddle down. You had Howard did not play. You had Teron Armstead, who's still out. They weren't able to run the football against the Eagles. Defensively, they didn't play a terrible game, but at the end of the day, the Eagles just out-physicaled them. And when they play good football teams, they just have not lived up to the billing, so that's why I'm dropping them to an A. Next, we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings. I had them at a C. I'm going to keep them at a C. With that, the performance against the San Francisco 49ers, a big, shocking, upset win that the Vikings really needed to keep their hopes alive with Justin Jefferson still out. Jordan Addison broke out and had a really good performance. Kirk Cousins, who I have on my fantasy team, played well. And that defense played a lot better than what I expected coming into this game, even though the 49ers have their own injuries. Next is the New England Patriots. I'm still going to have them at a D despite the upset win against the Buffalo Bills. Even though the Bills play well, Mac Jones played well. I don't think the Bills live up to their name or what their expectations was. Mac Jones played a hell of a game. Do not get me wrong. But I think that win was more of the Bills not doing anything successfully on both sides of the football versus the Patriots just outright dominating them. And the Bills still had a chance to win that ball game. Even though they put a lot of pressure on Allen, I'm still going to have the Patriots at a D despite their win against the Bills. Next is going to be the New Orleans Saints. I had them at a C. I'm going to keep them there. I don't think they're a bottom-tier team. It's just they are kind of like the Chargers. The expectations were higher. They're just so inconsistent on both sides of the football. I do believe in this defense. It's just offensively, they're a little bit inconsistent and they cannot convert in the red zone at all. At all. So I'm going to keep them at a C. Next is the Giants. Much needed win, but I'm still going to have them at a D. I still believe they're one of the bottom teams in football. And does this offense look better with Tyrod Taylor versus Daniel Jones? I think so. But much needed win against the Commanders. I'm going to have them at a D still. Next, Eagles, S-tier football team. Despite the loss to the Jets, they rebounded against a quality Dolphins team, and they ran the football on them. Jalen Hurts looked well, and A.J. Brown is him. A.J. Brown is him. The defense made a couple of plays, made some turnovers. Jalen Hurts, even after the pick six to Jerome Baker from The Ohio State University, he still played some really good football, and I credit the Eagles for bouncing back at home with those beautiful Kelly Green uniforms to get a win. Next is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to keep them at a B. I like the things that they did against the Rams. The offense started to look like an offense. Kenny Pickett started to throw the football. They ran the football very well. And I like what they are starting to build on and starting to grow on both sides of the football. Mike Tomlin, I personally, is one of my favorite coaches in the league. So I like what the Steelers team is doing. Next is the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to keep them at a B as well. They're still playing some solid football. Defensively, they are going to hurt without Nwosu, who's out for the year with that torn pec muscle. So defensively, I think they need to carry up for him, but they had a really solid showing, and I like what they're going to be, and I like what they're doing, so I'm going to have them at a B. Next is the 49ers. I'm going to put them at an S, but the injuries are concerning. The injuries are concerning with Deebo Samuel looking like he's going to miss a couple of more games. Trent Williams, the best left tackle in football, looking like he could miss maybe the next game or so. And Brock Purdy has kind of been brought down to earth. I wasn't one that was on the bandwagon. Oh, he's elite. It's not there yet. The minimum amount of games, yes, he's played well, but you're starting to finally see Brock Purdy coming down to earth a little bit. And they haven't been able to necessarily have him win some of these ball games as of late, and especially last night against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm still riding that 49ers train as long as I can. I still believe in this team, but are they in trouble? Who knows? Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to keep the Bucs at a B. I like what Baker Mayfield is doing. He's not playing necessarily the greatest, but he's keeping this ship steady, and that defense is still one of the better defenses that we have in football, in my opinion. So I'm going to keep the Buccaneers at a B. I think this is a pretty much a little bit maybe average football team as we speak right now. So I'm going to keep them at a B. Next is the Commanders. I had them at a B, but I'm going to drop them to a C. This team is just so inconsistent. One week they look good, and a couple of weeks they just look terrible. They just cannot. I don't know what the life of me. Maybe it's time for a change at the coaching position. It's just not, something is missing with this football team. Defensively, they haven't been consistent. Offensively, they cannot consistently put points on the board. So I'm going to put the Commanders at a C. But these are my rankings heading into Week 8. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.